and became a helicopter pilot and got shot down, killed in Vietnam in his Cobra gunship. His second son joined the Navy, and he was aboard some really neat aircraft, one aircraft carrier, CVN-73, USS George Washington, which I love because I was from George Washington. And so Barry and Kitty, Kitty's his wife, and his sister Pam. We stay very close. They're my stepchildren, but we communicate quite often. And I have 5 nieces and nephews, so that's my family. Plus my animals, but they've all passed away now too, and my husband, so that's okay. Life goes on.
Still live in New York?
No, ma'am. And after my husband passed away, 2003, he passed away in '97. I decided to move back to Florida, and because we used to go down and play golf down there quite a bit, which we really enjoyed. So I said, well, I'm going to go back to Florida and find a home, which I did. I'd gotten into real estate in New York, and then I got into real estate in Florida. I had to have something to do. So,
right. So you after the grievance, you went to Syracuse?
No. I went to Albany.
Albany, okay, yeah, so you're closer to home.
I was hired as a controller. I'm going to stay on as a controller.
Okay.
So I went back to Albany at that point, and spent the last 3 years pushing traffic, pushing tin as they can.
Right.
Whatever. And,
so how many years were you controller?
Well, from '68 to '91 in FAA, and of course the Army, '63 to '68 were basically a few.
Yeah, nice long career.
Yeah, yeah. I enjoyed Kennedy. Kennedy was good. The one thing I enjoyed at Andrews was working on all these jets, the latest jets that the military had, and at one point we had Admiral Moore, who retired as chief of the Joint Chiefs, whatever we call him, and I was asked to be the recovery controller, which was cool. Got to work with the SR-71, B-52s, everything in the military inventory, all the way back before World War I. And some of the pilots came up to visit us, which was really cool. And I wish I could have flown in the SR-71. But the one thing I did do at Kennedy, when I was there, I'd take my students aboard the Concorde. You know, I didn't get to fly in it, but I just used to take my students over, and they got to sit in the pilot seat and took their pictures, and they were there hog heaven. You know, it was a heck of an airplane.
When you say students, you
the ones I was training in Kennedy Sector.
Okay.
And I think there's still seven SSTs still flyable on the tarmac in England. You know, there's a couple around the world that are here and there and all over, but it's a heck of an airplane.
Oh, I bet.
Carried 100 passengers, and they had linen seats or linen pillows, and they gave me a copy of their menu, which was grand.
Oh, I bet.
It was.
Oh, fantastic. So back to the PWC. So you talked about it in '69.
Yeah, 68,
68, yeah. Is Patco having any reaction to...
Patco wasn't really around for me.
Okay.
I didn't, they started, I guess, on Long Island, John Layden. He was a fine gentleman. I liked John. I had a lot of respect for him, but I didn't want to join the union. You know, I didn't want to be the only woman.
Right.
And I never told him that, but I didn't want to join. You know, I didn't. And of course, I took out a lot of heat. The guys didn't want me in their facilities anyway, so I said, I might as well just forget about it.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So after, so you and Jackie get together. She's busy on the West Coast. You're on the East Coast. So what happens between then and when the PWC is formally?
Well, like I say, we just stayed in touch. We wrote back and forth and called now and then, and finally by '78 we decided, or I guess I decided, to start writing to the headquarters and try to get some information about how many. There was like 250 women in the FAA when we started, and by the time we got ready to roll with PWC, there was around 1,500. So I finally got, under the Freedom of Information Act, I got the headquarters to give me the list of women. And we divided it up. Jackie took everybody west of the Mississippi, and I took everybody east of the Mississippi. So I made up a flyer out of the New York Times and Dress for Success type of thing. And made up my flyer, and I sent it to Jackie, and I said, do what you want with it. I said, this is what I'm going to use. So we sent them out to the 1,500 women, and found out several months later that they didn't get there. Let's just say people didn't want them to have them, and they threw these things out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we were quite angry about that.
I bet.
It was over and done with.
But
anyway.
Why did you have to go the FOIA route?
The what?
What is your
Freedom of information?
Yeah.
I don't know, they just wouldn't let me have anything unless well, I guess because, you know, they were employees and they weren't supposed to, of course they wouldn't give me the home addresses, but they
Right.
gave me the facilities.
Yeah. Hmm.
And if I'd sent them the home facilities, or home addresses, they probably would have been more at our first conference.
Right.
But since I was in New York, I was able to set up the first conference, convention they called it back then,
Mm-hmm.
in Bethesda, Maryland, in the Holiday Inn. I got all that stuff too. I got the, you know, from,
Oh,
you know,
how cool.
everything.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad you saved it.
Yeah, but we didn't know how many were coming, so I started laying buses on it because I didn't know. I wanted our women to go to see headquarters and headquarters to see our women.
Right.
So I think I started out with like 5 buses, and I said I don't really know how many we're going to need. We wound up with 1, but that's okay.
It was a start.
Yeah. So we
A bold
got
start, yeah.
had our first meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and it was super. We had a super bunch of women show up, and one of them in particular I just dearly loved. Her name was Margaret Hoffman. She was a controller in 1943. She was one of the first, and she had gone to college and married, had a son, and her husband took off on her. So by 1943, she needed something to do. So she decided to put in for this school, air traffic control, with the CAA, and got hired and went to Nashville Tower, and she spent her whole career there.
Wow.
And she was just a super lady, just a super lady.
Oh.
And everybody loved her. She was like my second mom,
Oh,
you know, a
that's
real
great.
mom, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so we loved that woman.
Oh, yeah.
And she was one of our charter members. There's 60 charter members.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one girl going around saying she's chartered, and I said, did you go at the first meeting? She said, no. I said, well, you're not a charter. I showed it to her in the bylaws. She says, well, this is wrong. And this all went on a couple of days ago.
Oh, my
She says,
goodness.
you should change it. I said, no, I'm not going to change it. She says, you got to remember, I was a military policewoman for 4 years. And she looked at me. Of course, I'm taller than her. And I don't think she knew what to make about that. I wasn't going to hit her or anything. I said, no, I finally just argued her down. I said, you can't do this. This was arranged in 1979. We're not going to change it just for you. Because there was a lot of women that wanted to come to that first meeting that they couldn't make it for whatever reason.
Right.
So, are we keeping you, John?
What's that?
Are we keeping you?
You're fine.
All right, buddy.
He's probably looking for his battery time.
My peripheral vision con looking at his watch.
Well, yeah, this is actually sending me emails and other
Gotcha.
things like
Oh,
that,
you got
so-
one of those.
Yeah.
Cool.
I wouldn't know how to use that.
Mhm.
Anyway, what else? That's it. I'm through.
Oh, no, not yet.
Yeah.
So, how did the organization grow? So you've got 60 and 79, and now you've got 500?
Well, yeah, 493, I think they said yesterday or in this morning in
Wow.
the meeting. We have regions, of course, and initially we had 3 regional directors. They took on several regions at a time, and they started contacting women within their region. And I was elected president. That's another embarrassing situation. I had ordered a telephone into our conference room, you know, for everybody in there, and the phone rang right in the middle of elections, and I picked it up. I said, "Could you hold on, please?" And I laid the phone down. The elections went ahead. It didn't take long. I was elected president. I went back to the phone. I said, "Yes, ma'am. Can we help you?" She said, "Yeah, this is the Administrator Bond's secretary." And I said, I wanted to drop through the floor. I said, "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?" And she said, "Administrator Bond wanted to come to your conference." I think we'd already invited him anyway. He wants to know if he can bring his wife. I said, certainly. By this time, I would have invited his wife, his dog, his kids, everybody. She was a very bright woman, by the way. His
Yes,
wife.
she was. She had a
Yeah,
PhD.
Yeah,
In something, I forget now, but yeah.
Yeah.
She taught.
yeah, she was very bright. Anyway, she came, and so we went from there. We had all the bylaws written and the whole everything. It was written out that first couple of days.
Wow.
The women did a fantastic job. The first 4 of us, me, Jackie, Barbara Williams, who was our treasurer, and Gwen Sawyer, our secretary. And so they're all alive. In fact, Barb is here. I was hoping Gwen would show up. I don't know why she didn't. But, super lady. I used to go out and visit her and her husband in Oklahoma City.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Albuquerque. I'm sorry, they're in
Oh,
Albuquerque now after the tornadoes. Yeah, great ladies, great ladies. I mean, it's really, really super women in this organization. Why they put up with me, I don't know. But
You tell good stories.
yeah, right. Well, they're real. I mean,
That's right.
they're all real.
So, the regional director, I assume that you still were all working full-time, plus running the organization?
Yep. Yep. Everybody had a job. and if they want to do something with the PWC, then they would, that's extra.
Okay.
So,
So you did not want to be a union?
no, I didn't want a union, and I didn't want to be on staff and management. The people didn't understand that. I was being offered jobs all the time in the region and the headquarters. There was a man that was number 2 man in the FAA headquarters that called me in, Quint Taylor, called me in. Did you remember Quint?
Yeah.
Superman. And I got involved with the ATCA way back when.
Okay.
And Quentin, she said, "So I want to talk to you." So he said, "I want you to meet these 2 associate administrators, and we want you to take a job here in headquarters or one in Europe." I said, "No, thank you." So I just wouldn't take any of the jobs, you know. People didn't understand. I said, I was hired as a controller. I love being a controller,
love, yeah.
pushing tin. You know, I could put up with the garbage from the guys and the union, and so I did take the soups job in Binghamton only to go up there and take care of my parents
Right.
until this last chief came up, and he was a stinker.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's over and done with.
So you've got 3